Hotapu everyone, this is King Ra Sumaba Ifagbemi, the world's first openly African gay king. And I wish to give you more on our sneak peek classes, which are going to be classes that I will open to the public for the first time through a membership, a monthly membership on my kingrasumaba.com website in the very near future. But I wanted to whet your appetite with some of the things you'll be getting in those membership classes. And today we'll discuss how the ancient blacks of Egypt saw what we call today transits in astrology. The word transit means to travel, like you have a transit system in your town, the subway system or the bus system. And in astrology, the transit of a planet basically means its travels. Now, the day you were born, if you took a still frame snapshot of the sky on that moment, it's frozen in time. But a minute later, things were on the move. They were transiting or traveling already. So as the planets moved from the snapshot positions of your birth date, and birth time, they moved. And as they moved, they began to cause certain things to emerge as patterns in your fractal called your life. You can watch my YouTube video on fractals to get more about that. But your life is a living fractal, a pattern maker, and astrology is the only science that can clock when these spontaneous quote-unquote patterns will tend to emerge, and they're called emerging at the transits. So in Kemet, oftentimes the deceased would have in their tombs 365 of these figures here called the Shwaptis. This army of figurines. They're very small, they're very petite, and they're often shown holding farming tools like a pick or a hoe or a shovel or tools for work and labor. The word Shwapti means answerer, or he who answers the call. And they refer to these magical figurines in tombs that the deceased would call upon to perform various labor tasks in the other world, in the afterlife. So if the deceased had to get fruit from his farm, or fetch water from the Nile, or get milk from the cows, rather than doing it himself, he would dispatch his servant, called the Shwapti. So the deceased would call for a task, and the Shwapti would answer and bring it forth. But the fact there were 365 Shwaptis often in a tomb, particularly royal tombs, is a clear message from the ancestors of Africa that the Shwaptis are those who answer the call of each day of the year of your chart, 365 days. So you would look at your chart for a year. It's first telling you that the blacks will look at their charts over a year at least, definitely. And they had one Shwapti, or one answerer, to stand ready to work on the events that were growing from your chart that day. So let's say one day you had a rough transit, like let's say Harukapet Saturn was going to square your sun. That could be quite difficult for your authority. That could be the end of a job. That could be that you have a lot of duties to do in your position at work. The responsibility can become overwhelming and can be very stressful. So it can mean some pretty heavy things. It can mean your father's about to pass. So they would look at their charts over a year. On the day in which this is going to happen, in this particular case, the squaring of Harukapet Saturn with Ra the Sun, they would talk to the Shwapti ritually. They would give it offerings and magical incantations and pray that the Shwapti goes out and cultivates the best possibilities within this trying square. That maybe it gives them the chance to try a new approach to their job, to take leadership in a more deep understanding of how to make the team work more efficiently. So you would ask the Shwapti through an oracle. You would throw an oracle to each Shwapti to say, okay, for this transit today, this rough or nice transit, what's the best way to get the best luck out of this? The most juicy fruit and yield from whatever's growing out of my chart. you did that reading, the oracle, and you combine the oracle with the common sense meaning of a square and of Saturn and of the sun, and you collapse the quantum wave function, the infinite possibilities, into a singularity, a single possibility. I want this out of all the potential in this quantum potential soup that is this transit. The Shwabdi would then go magically and begin to till the land and cultivate the chart in such a way that that would be your yield. Nowhere else in the world have you seen any astrology system refer to transits as living beings that can listen to you, respond to you, and do things for you. It brings a life, a kind of magic to the process of looking at your transits, which is a very important science, to know what's coming around the bend so you're not caught unawares and off guard. So the word Shwapti can also be pronounced Ushapti or Ushepti or Shauti. All of these different ways of pronouncing it are valid. And this god here is named Shai. You can see it written here, Shai. Shai is a god in the Hall of Judgment. He's in fact standing beneath the scales of Ma'at, in the Hall of Ma'at. Shai means your luck, fortune, and fame. He's also the god of gardens. So this means that he refers to the cycles of luck or bad luck that come your way, and of course that's clocked by your chart. And it views your chart as a flower in a garden. It's got 12 petals called the 12 houses and 12 signs. So the word Shwapti links to the god of gardening your chart. Again, this reference to agricultural activities that the Shwapti are often shown holding, picks, hoes, shovels, etc. I want to give you a case study of why you should listen to your Shwaptis. You should commune with them. Now, I'm going to jump screens very quickly to this one. This is a map of the sky today. Today is June 2nd, 2016. I'm in Sedona, Arizona. And this is a map showing what's called astrolocality or astrocartography. I teach a very different approach to this from what you may know in Western context. It's a very powerful science. Perhaps the most important astrology ever is where you live. No matter what you're going through in life, it's going to happen on a geographical point. And you want to make sure that that point likes you, does not have horrors waiting for you. Sickness, disease, loss, death. You don't want to have any of that coming your way. But that's a different class that I'll teach the members. But I want to give you this quick tutorial. You see here this red line. There's one here. Here we have Texas. Okay, here's San Antonio. Here's Austin, Texas. All right, here's Dallas, Waco, etc. So we have this red line here, and it has a white circle with the planet Nu in red. And over here, another red line, vertical line, with Tehuti Epshatoi, Jupiter, with opposition here. Okay, the point, I won't go too much into the details, but the point is, in this area of the Earth, this means culminating, or at noon, that culminating over Texas, reaching the highest arc in the sky, are the planets Nu, what we call Nu or Neptune, and Tehuti, Apsheta or Jupiter. But I want to focus on Nu, Neptune. Okay? As you know, Neptune was the god of the seas. He's an ocean god. And back to our other image, here he is, Nu. Neptune is also a water god to us in Egypt. He owns all the great waters. That's your first clue. Water. Now, it so happens that the planet Nu is in the sign of Hapi, the Aquarius, water bearer, shown here. So in a wheel, Neptune is in the sign of Aquarius. So we have the god of waters in the sign of he who pours the waters, the water bearer. That's a lot of wetness. It's a lot of rain. Okay? And at this time, Nu is beginning to get close to a star called Achernar. Achernar is the river that flows from Orion's foot. It's a giant river. Okay? So, the first clue the Shwapti trying to tell you, the transit is trying to tell you, is that wherever this planet culminates on the Earth, we saw over parts of Texas, that a lot of water spirits, tremendous amounts of water spirits, the planet of water and the sign of the water bearer, and it so happens this area of the sky is aligning with a star called Achernar, which is the brightest star in the Eridanus constellation, the great river of the zodiac. So the Shwapti are saying, this is the great flood. There's a lot of flooding spirits coming. And that's why you're seeing Texas being hit so hard with floods, with rain. This area of the sky has several symbols. One is an enclosed circle, an enclosed circle. Well, that can be a water drop. It can also be that you are contained, you are confined, you are washed in. If you're flooded, you're confined. This means that this star often deals with the upper atmosphere, the tension of the clouds in the upper atmosphere. In fact, in the Black Indian system of Dravidia, this area of the sky is called Shatabishak, called 1,000 doctors or 1,000 demons. And its god is a god called Varuna, who is a water god. In particular, a healing god. And Hapi is known for being a healing god as well. Hapi here. Now, here's what the message of the Shwapti is, bringing back its fruit. It's saying that this area of the earth is targeted by the cosmic flux to have a lot of water spirits overwhelm it and confine the people, stranding them in this circle of water. And that Hapi, the word hop in Egyptian, or hep, means to turn or to bend, like in a river. It also means law, order, ordinance, science. Hop. So wherever Hapi is involved in a situation, you're supposed to turn around your thinking. You're supposed to try to look for a law that you're missing. That's why you're being confined and contained. So the floods of this area of America, the Midwest kind of area, particularly Texas, and things along that red line, that vertical red line, their waters are going to swell. But the purpose, the Shwapti is telling us, because I talked to the Shwapti, I actually spoke with him, and he answered me. And I asked him, why are you doing this to Texas? What's going on? And he said, well, the word hep, he told me the word hep, science, law. There's a law to the rhythm of flooding of the rivers in this area. They have a season of flooding. It could be every 18 years it reaches a maximum of floods, or every 20 years or 50 years. That the people who run statistics should, as the Egyptians did with their Nilometer. In Egypt, the Nile has a maximal flood every 18, I believe, 0.2 years. 18 years, 2 months. Every 18 years, 2 months, it overfloods, maximal flooding. And every 9 months, minimal flood. So every 18 years, the Pharaoh knew we can lose all the crops, so he prepared and had a lot of stores for that horrible time. And every 9 years, we had a low flood, which means not enough water, not enough farming, and he had stores for that too. So the pharaohs were smarter than the Americans because the pharaoh watched the rhythm of the river. Its pattern, its fractal, and he prepared accordingly. These people in Texas are being hit blindsided. They're being shocked by these sudden bursts of waters. But it's the job of the leaders of the country to use statistics to help minimize such impact of natural events. So they need to turn, Hep means to turn, to the law, Hep means the law, of this area's rivers. Talk to the rivers. Commune with the rivers, particularly their statistical pattern, their high wave and low sine wave of flooding and low. You can save lives with that information. These poor people in this, look at this. They're flooded, their homes are ruined, they're in the worst way. And so if the scientists know and make that part of policy that we know every 18 years, whatever the rivers here may have as their rhythm, to build a certain way, houses that can deal with this kind of level of water, make sure that they're in code, make sure that people have the right insurance, all these things. Make sure we don't build too close to this area. We kind of make it illegal to build too close to the river. But of course, Americans are so greedy most of the times with their real estate profits that they oftentimes will build and just I'll rebuild later on. But that costs the nation billions of dollars in national emergencies. So that's the Shwapti. So when you learn your chart and you learn how to read charts, you're going to learn how to talk to your transits. Go into a meditative state. I will teach you how to meditate in a way to go to an astral travel to your transit. You learn it in two ways. You learn it in a left brain way, very technical. We break the transit down in a very mathematical, by the book method that only I teach. And then you're going to go into a reverie, a kind of trance on that breakdown and get a vision. That's your right brain understanding what's coming. You will foresee a lot of problems in your life. Divorces, marriages, good days, bad days. You will see it coming. And forewarned is forearmed. So, I pray you enjoyed this little teaser on transits and the power of being forewarned in life and preparing yourself for the patterns, good and bad, coming your way. I wish to thank the gay ancestors that brought this down to the world. May it be used to bring light and love to all peoples of this planet and to all the ancestors. Dwawend Hotepu.